Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go!
Well, as we talk, it's snowing in Saskatchewan. You'll be moving here back eventually to coach. What's it like in BC there?
Sunny. Beautiful weekend here. We got the Women's National Championship tournament in BC right now. So I checked out some games there last night. It's been good, but yeah, it's great here in North Vancouver.
Awesome. Is that your favorite baseball team, the Cubs?
No, actually, my fiance Kirsten went there for a work trip, brought back the hat, wear it with pride. Honestly, I'm just a Jays fan. It just looks cool. It's unique, you know.
Your dad made you a Jays fan. He warped your mind.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk Combine coming up here. First of all, I mean, it's kind of got to be a little bittersweet for you because the Canadian quarterback wasn't on vogue when you were playing not that many years, not that far long ago. And now, we actually have guys throwing at the Combine. We got Canadian quarterbacks in the CFL. Just your thoughts on the evolution of the Canadian quarterback, so to speak.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I was actually having this discussion with Nick Weave the other day. It's kind of funny. I look back on my time and I remember my Combine. It was Trey Ford was invited to the National, like straight away. And then I was invited to the West Regional and there's an East Regional or whatever the case may be. And I remember not getting invited to the National. I was like, obviously disappointed you want to go, but it is what it is. And then I checked out the stream. They had a younger guy throwing there. I'm like, whoa, what the heck? But it is what it is. And I kind of look at what it kind of shaped into today, which is fantastic. And that's what you want to see. People buy into storylines, as we both know. And I think the quarterback position is the epitome of the storyline for the CFL League and USPORTS. So seeing Senecal, Desjardins, Tuchinski, there's another one, is there not? There's one more.
I'm trying to think. Elgersma was a guy that is in the mix for the draft, and Curtis Rourke, but they won't be throwing. So
yeah, exactly. I might be missing one, but I know there's obviously those three guys alone can sling it. So it's really good for the position in the league.
And that's in a way, it's. Shame on me, not so much on you, but it's sad that we can't even remember. Like, it's the most glamorous position in football, and we can't remember if there's a fourth guy going to the CFL Combine. That's how pathetic it's been in the past. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I want to say, I don't want to get it wrong, but I think it's Keegan Hall, and that might just be in my brain too because I saw he transferred to York as a post grad for McMaster. I think it's him, but I don't know 100%.
Well, while I ask you about some of the Huskies going, I'll look it up. Your thoughts on some of these Huskies? Let's start with Daniel Weeb, who obviously is a real good receiver.
Yeah, Daniel Weeb's first off, great person. He's a unique cat. Like, when you think of a USPORTS football player, you think of kind of the jock in a movie that whatever, where Dan Weeb does not fit that mold. He's a kind of a yogi, he likes his own. He goes to the beat of his own drum. He's a different cat, but one of the nicest teammates you'll ever have. Student of the game, extremely hard worker, and I mean, he's gonna impress. He's gonna test well. He's kind of a freak. So I'm really excited to see him. Then we have Seth Hundaby, who, I mean, that guy, I'd be very surprised if he got out of the first 2 rounds. Like, he's a legit 6'3", 6'4", 230, and he's gonna run a fast 40 time. So that kid's extremely impressive. He's been a rotation starter when his true freshman year at U of S. So he's going to be a really good player and he's going to test really well. And then the third and final guy going to the National is Lane Novak. He's our will linebacker, gritty kid out of White City, Saskatchewan. He is the epitome of a leader. That guy can come in, he can fit into any locker room. Guys gravitate to him. Great person in the community. You're going to get an all-around human being with Lane Novak, and obviously his play speaks for itself. He's been a 4-year starter at U of S. He tracks the ball. He can run really well. He can cover. He can get to the quarterback. So he does a lot of things well, but extremely good people, all 3 of them. So that's the biggest thing.
That's awesome. And it's nice that, on a national stage for those kind of kids to represent your school too, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So are you coming down? Like, or do you come down as coaches for this, or how does that look from a U of S perspective?
Yeah, no, me and Scott will come down here probably Thursday or Friday, just to do some recruiting. I have family obviously in Regina, so I'm going to come a little bit, see them, and then obviously we got the testing and I believe 4 practices that I saw on the weekend, so we're going to come check that out, and yeah, hopefully it's some good action.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. It's kind of disappointing they let the CFL week go. Like, I'm not in charge of the purse strings, but that very first one with the Combine in Regina, like that was, I wish they turn it into something every year, just like in Indianapolis, and have it in Regina every year, the heartland of football.
Yeah, it'd be super cool. 2016, correct? Like, I
Yeah,
believe
16 or 17. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know. Yes, it would have been 2017, the spring of 2017. That makes sense because I remember going.
Yeah.
And that was the first time they had the Canadian or Cam West passing showcase.
Yes.
So we had the Rams, the Huskies, the Gold.
Yeah, you did well in that too. Yeah,
I loved it, and it was like for all the up and coming guys, like first to third year guys in
yes.
U-Sports, and it was a blast. It was like a 7-on-7 tournament after the Combine in Regina, so that was awesome. And I think they've kind of continued that, like more exterior to the Combine, but that was a sweet event. But overall, the place was buzzing. I know from U of S we had Mitch Hillis, Julon Lynch, Evan Johnson, that Combine, and it was memorable. Like, it was a big show. And that was a super cool event. It would be unreal to see stuff like that moving forward.
Now, this is no disrespect to anybody, but I hope a guy like you who gets it, we're friends, but you always answer my call. You always answer anybody's call. It's sports entertainment, and it even starts in the U Sports. Now, I know student athletes are busy. Like, it's a busy life, but I've reached out to a number of guys on a number of different teams, and maybe it's just me, but I'll talk to you, Ballsy, but after the Combine, or I'll talk to you, but we need to promote. And I find football that it's kind of like in silos, or people stay in their lanes. We need to get away from that mentality, in my opinion. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, it's contracting paradigms, some big words there, but that's how I view it. I mean, like, I feel a lot of football guys, it's like they're grinders. They work really hard. I'm a football guy. Like, I totally get it. They're grinders. They just want to put their head down, work. Whatever's in front of me, I'm going to attack, those type of things. And then at the same time, those guys, like, they're like, not necessarily, I don't want to say this, but like, they're kind of doing you a favor by coming on. Where in your point of view, it's like, hey, I'm trying to promote you. Like, I'm trying to give you the spotlight. Like, you're trying to help them. And then they're thinking they're trying to help you. And it's kind of a weird paradigm there that people get lost in, where, hey, it just has to be a collaboration. Everyone help everybody get forward, and everyone wins, and it's better for the sport because of it. So it's just something we have to get through, and hopefully we do.
Well, and I think that's the problem with football in Canada, is we shoot ourselves in the foot so much at the CFL level. They stumbled into a CFL week, and whether it's because of budget or whatever, or philosophies, they got away from it, which I don't necessarily agree with. I don't need you to comment on that. But then we've got, this whole Canada-US tariff thing, and I put out a thing on Twitter saying, hey, would you support an all-Canadian football league? Not that I don't like American players. I was just throwing it out for a question, and fans are like, wow, people don't even go to U Sports games. Well, that's where it gets back to, though. We got to be promoting so that when, I want to go see Mason Nyhus, I want to go see Hundeby or Novak or those kind of guys. And even in the Combine here, talking with Ethan, like 40 yards in the Combine in the US, it's hand timed laser finish. So the times skew faster. Yeah. In the CFL Combine, it is double lasered, so they skew slower. Bench press, they let you bounce. And in Canada, they don't let you bounce. Now, I just think we're trying to sell the game. So if Joe Blow in wherever, Sid Aluda, sees that, holy cow, that kid from Lakeridge, Regina ran a 4.340. Who cares? Like, do you know what I mean? Why do we have to have double laser? Let's just do what the NFL does.
Yeah, no, there's very valid arguments to that. I obviously do not have the answers. With that, like, I'm with you. Like, as long as it's consistent, like if you go hand a laser and it's consistent across the board, where Ethan Ball runs a 4.4 and I don't know, Seth Hundeby runs a 4.44, whatever it is, and it's consistent across the board, cool. Like, I'm good with that. But you're right. Like, you shouldn't probably be running different times in the NFL, because it does make your product look different. Without
looks
without
watered
being
down.
blunt about it.
Yeah, looks watered down.
For sure. So yeah, and they're like, don't get me wrong, I think CFL does a lot of good things, but that'd be something that you definitely could improve on. I mean, I've always thought about this I know it's not a CFL city, but being biased, going to university in Saskatoon, man, we have such a state-of-the-art facility for a combine at Ignite at that SMF facility. Like, you have open turf, perfect for all your field testing, any practice or individual drills you want to do. Upstairs, state-of-the-art facility. You can do your vert, you can do your bench. It's fantastic. You have Joel Lipinski can run it. It's a great operation there. So I think that'd be a great spot too. And it can also grow the game in the main province where you kind of make your hay financially.
Yeah. Good point, man. Good point. And lastly, what is your off season looking like? Working long distance as an associate head coach and offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. Just recruiting, talking to Scott, very consistently building that offense together. Talking to players, having QB meetings. It's been honestly really nice. Being in BC, being able to recruit guys out here as well, and then just honestly with our virtual world here as we see right now, you can really connect with anybody, anywhere, anytime. So it's very fortunate for me while I'm out in Vancouver right now in the off season, but man, I'm enjoying it a ton, and but I am looking forward to getting to Regina here in about a week or so to come check it out.
So how would you sell a parent or a kid on coming to the U of S? Put your recruiting hat on for a second.
Oh yeah, I watched an Andrew Luck thing like this at Stanford. It was unreal. I love Andrew Luck, side note. But yeah, I mean, Saskatoon has a lot to offer. First and foremost, I think our community support is second to none, specifically west of Quebec. You've been to U of S games, homecoming. It's a big reason why I went there. I mean, it is top notch, second to none. It's a great place to play, and football matters. We're talking about right now. We're trying to make football matter in USPORTS, CFL, whatever the case may be. In Saskatoon, it does. Like, if you show up for the Hardy Cup against the Regina Rams, standing room only. You show up to homecoming, all the freshmen are in togas. It's standing room only, so it matters. Facilities, we have some of the best facilities in the country. We're getting a extension hopefully here soon, thanks to Ron, Jane, Graham. They're massive supporters of U of S, so we really rival anybody in that regard. And it's such a family atmosphere. I mean, if you come to the U of S, you're getting guys that care about the players. You're getting a good locker room culture, and you're going to get a tradition of winning. I mean, we've been 5 of the last 6 Hardy Cups. We've been 2 of the last 4 national championships. I mean, you're coming here to win. The games matter. You're going to be loved like a family, supported from the coaching staff, players, everyone involved. And we just have a great community support that we really, that's our backbone. So, yeah, a lot of good reason to come to the U of S for sure.
Where do I sign? I still got eligibility. I don't think
get the dotted line, hey?
I think I could run one hitch pattern, and that would be it. Hey, thanks for your time, man. Maybe see you in Regina next weekend.
100%. Appreciate it, Ballsy. Have a good one.
Hang on one second. All right, here with head coach of the Ottawa Redblacks, Bob Dyce. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, my pleasure, Michael. Always good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's always good to talk to you, too. How's the off-season been so far for you personally?
Oh, everything's been good, you know. Winter wasn't too crazy over here in Winnipeg, and anytime I get to spend, you know, a decent amount of time with my family is outstanding, so no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, so Bob, you know, I was going through the coaching roster, not like it's a long list. There's only 9 in terms of head coaches. What I find really nice is half of them are Canadian head coaches. Just talk about that. I like the fact that's kind of going that way a bit.
Well, you know, I think any of us would say, you know, it's not. We're obviously proud of the fact that we are Canadians, but at the end of the day, we think it's more due to the fact that you know, we've been dedicated to this league and done great work in this league and allowed ourselves to rise up the ranks. You know, fantastic to see Mark get his opportunity in Edmonton, and you know, Mike's O'Shea's been doing this a long time.
Yeah, you know what's funny too?
Yeah.
You know what's funny too, Bob, is 3 of the guys are special teams guys, so that's got to put a smile on your face.
100%. I think it's funny because you talk to coaches. A lot of young coaches, they're so focused offensively and defensively, and they think that is the only way to becoming a head coach, and they don't realize that special teams probably prepares you more than any other aspect because you have to almost stay in tune just like a head coach does throughout a game, and you're going back and forth and you're addressing the whole team. So yeah, it's fantastic to see coaches from that avenue getting the opportunity to run their teams.
And the other thing about special teams coaches, I said this to Craig Dickinson before too, is everything you said is right, but you also got to get guys to buy in from all aspects of the team, like you said, and special teams not the most glamorous. So that's another element of it, I think, that's huge that you can transfer to being a head coach.
100%. I would agree wholeheartedly. Like I said, you get to touch everybody from the offensive line to the secondary, all across the board. And so, you might say it's not glamorous. We special teams coordinators think it's a pretty glamorous part of the game.
Well, hey, you know what? I'm an advocate of the Canadian Football League, and one of the best things about this league, Bob, is the kicking game and the fact you got to do something with the ball on every play. I hope I don't know if you want to reveal your cards, but I hope when we have these meetings league-wide about changing kicking rules and stuff, that the great Bob Dyce, who I think is one of the nicest guys in the league and smartest guys in the league, is always for the kicking game and doesn't want to change it. Like I know some of the things they're doing in the NFL has to do with injuries, but I just love the fact that this is a second chance league, especially when it comes to special teamers, because guys can, that wouldn't get a chance to return in the NFL can come up here and do that.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I'm not going to go into my exact position on it, but I'm a traditionalist, right? And I think special teams is such a huge part of our game. And we've done, the league's done a fantastic job with their injury studies and making sure that it's not injuries aren't happening too heavily in that part of the game. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I personally like to keep things exactly how they are. I think it's a phenomenal part of our game. We've got so many dynamic returners in this league. We've got great cover players, and there's so many outstanding plays. When you look at the plays of the year, you're going to see a majority, or a lot of them, are going to be special teams plays.
Mm-hmm. And talk about your special teams, because you've got some definite guys with a lot of skill in that position, kicking, punting, returning. You're pretty strong in that aspect for the Redblacks this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. One of the things, when we talk about consistency, one of the areas, we want to continue to grow our team. One area special teams is one area where we've been extremely consistent. And that's with the players we have too. Obviously, Richie and Lou have been handling our kicking duties since 2018, and they've both done. Richie's a multi-time All-Star, and Lou's amongst the very best the best in all-time career field goal percentage, and Special Teams Player of the Year. And then we've been blessed to have Devontae Dedman, who's one of the most dynamic returners in the league. And then just last year, adding Peter Adji, he's really filled in onto our roster as our long snapper and really jumped into that group and done a great job. And so, we've got a great group that continues to strive to push each other every single week. So it's a pleasure. And I know Coach Campbell he kind of takes over that group this year. They'll continue to put fantastic performances out there.
I think it takes, now you might not agree with the wording here, but when I saw the hiring of Rick Campbell in Ottawa, I thought it takes a pretty strong guy to bring somebody like Rick Campbell in, who's won a Grey Cup, to his staff. But just talk about your mentality bringing in Rick Campbell to run your special teams and be a part of that.
Well, at the end of the day, what we want here in Ottawa is we want the best people, and you want to surround yourself with great people. I've had the pleasure of working with Rick in both Winnipeg and Ottawa. So at the end of the day, what you do in the off season is look for ways to solidify your whether it be your staff or your roster. Mm-hmm. And having worked with Rick and knowing the job that he's done in the past, and obviously being friends, him becoming available really was a no-brainer. And in that regards, like I said, it's not just for myself. He's another voice on staff for other guys to bounce questions off, and so it allows us to grow and become even that much better. So super excited about it. I don't worry about the negative, Michael. I worry about the positive, and I look at how we're going to be better, and that's for me just made total sense.
Okay, talk about getting better. You had a few players in the offseason. Let's start your offensive line, mostly intact, but you had Peter Godber, who comes over from Saskatchewan. Just your thoughts on the anchor of that offensive line.
Yeah, with Peter being available, one thing, Sean and I have always talked about here in Ottawa is physicality. And that's one thing that Peter plays the game aggressively. He's a smart man in the middle. He's going to be surrounded by two great guards, and Darius and Drew DeJarly. And we really felt that, to be the physical dominating line that we want to be. I know we threw the ball 62 times in the playoff game, but we want to be able to allow those guys to tee off and run and be physical in their game. And I thought Peter was a fantastic addition, in the time he's been in this league. So we're super excited to get him. I know he and Mike have been meeting. Coach Gibson have been meeting already to get on the same page. So very excited about his addition.
So talk about physicality. I'm glad you brought that up. In the playoff game, because of schematics, maybe the fact you didn't have a big bell cow in the backfield for the playoff game. I thought you guys did a good job drawing it up and doing with what you could with what you had. But William Stanback comes to Ottawa now. Just talk about having that plow horse in the backfield.
Yeah, Tommy did a great job at the end of last season. Like you said, we put making sure we utilized all the talent we had in the best way possible, and excited, obviously always to work with Tommy. But yeah, we want to be physical, and the addition of William and Devontae Williams coming back as well. We're very excited about that. At the end of the day, you have to have balance in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And, with both those guys are dynamic. Devontae ran for 1,000 the year before he got hurt. William had a phenomenal career in this league. And, he's a big body, physical guy that's going to get the yards after contact. And we want to take advantage of that. And that allows us to do it, which will only enhance our passing game and our play action game and make us that much more diverse as an offense. So very excited about it.
How about adding a Canadian safety like Adeleke or a Canadian defensive back by Adeleke there?
Yeah, Tunde's a great DB, obviously a veteran DB in this league. We obviously re-signed Alonzo Adai, who is our starting safety, and we re-signed Justin Howell. But Tunde, being a Carleton graduate, being from Ottawa, just adding him into the mix, and the thing that Tunde brings as well, if you watched him in Toronto, started some games at Sam, linebacker, just a really diverse guy who can move all over the secondary, and having guys like that is such a boon to your roster in the event possibly, hopefully nothing goes wrong, but that somebody gets injured, and being able to put him on and not miss a beat. So very excited to have Tunde.
Talk to me about your starting quarterback and your thoughts on his play last year and maturation.
I thought Drew did a fantastic job, and I think it really began the day he got into town. Drew's a guy who really works the process, and it's not just on the field and how he plays, it's with everything. How he built the relationships with the equipment manager, the medical staff, he and Tommy's relationship as it grew. And, there's a plan with everything, and it shows in how he plays. We talk about, taking care of the process and not worrying about the outcomes and doing things right. And that's what Drew's great at. And you saw throughout the year, he continued to build and build and build. And like I said, we threw the ball 62 times. He had a really good game. When you look at when he came back from his last number of games and he came back from his injury, and very excited how he does. He's built his relationships with not only just the offensive players, but all the players on the team. And, it wasn't too big for him to come in and be a first-time starter. And now we're excited about the evolution as it goes forward. He's comfortable here in Ottawa, and really looking forward to see him continue to grow.
Hey, I like listening for words. You said evolution and process. Let's talk about evolution as it relates to you, Bob Dyce, going into another year head coach in this team. How do you look to evolve your side of things on the sidelines?
Well, we talked about the hiring of Rick, and one of the things that I was looking for even before Rick came available was I'm always going to be close to special teams, but at the same time I wanted to kind of move away a little bit so have a better handle offensively, defensively, exactly everything that's going on, and to work with the coordinators more. And when I say work with the coordinators, just more to get into their heads and get a little bit even more understanding of what they're doing as we go forward, because all encompassing, we want to make sure you've got everything. I think as you go forward in this role, you're continually learning, right? I mean, that's what life's about, is continually learning, and so I look forward to expanding that aspect of my job and moving forward and allowing us to be that much more successful as a team.
I've asked other coaches this, I'll ask you this. Maybe alienate's not the right word. I just maybe can't put my finger on the right word. But when you're like a coach/coordinator type thing, do you kind of run the risk of alienating or not being as involved, I guess maybe is the better way of putting it, with the entire team when you're the head coach/a coordinator? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I guess, we talked about it earlier. I was coordinating special teams. So at the end of the day, I was still with everybody, right?
Right.
But there's certain things like normally we have our team meeting, boom, then I'm up on the podium, stay up on the podium, and I'm doing special teams, and I can't sit in and listen to the protection meeting, right? And how we're handling certain blitzes and certain things like that. So this will give me ability, I'm going to be in special teams a lot. Don't worry about that. Yeah. But it gives me a chance to, hey, pop out of the room, see, hey, how are we handling this? How we're doing, going from there? And little things like that, right? And the ability to jump from meeting to meeting, sit in on the quarterbacks meetings at different times. And so, those are the little things that I really look forward to doing. And, like I said, doing special teams, you're addressing everybody anyhow. But I could see offensively and defensively without a doubt. But yeah, and you want to be able to feel, this is one thing as a head coach, when you, let's say, want to correct something, you want to make sure that you're correcting it from your view and you have a great understanding of it, right? And not just have the DB coach say, well, he did this, right? And this evolution or growth will allow me to be able to grow in that type of way.
Okay, Bob, lastly, we got the Combine coming up here in Regina. What's that process look like? Take me behind the scenes, not who you're picking or anything like that, who you're looking at, but just what's it look like from, who goes, what do you guys do, what's the weekend look like for you?
Yeah, so like for me, I head out a little bit earlier because I'm on the rules committee, and so we'll have our meetings like that. But then, Chad Hudson, from your town of Regina, he does a phenomenal job of doing a lot of the background work on all these young men, and provides us as a staff. He and Sean provide us with lists, and obviously probably the higher end prospects, and we go through. So amongst this list, I think there's probably in total about 101 people on the list. So we work through, and that's what we're kind of doing now. While the coaches are working through the playbooks, they also break up their time to evaluate their guys by their position, right? And then once we get out to Regina, it'll be myself, Sean, Chad, obviously, Brendan Tamman, Joe, and our whole operations staff. And so, then we get together out there. They have everything all planned with regards to our interviews. And, that's probably one of the favorite parts of it, right? You've seen these guys on film, and I like to see these guys before they actually compete. But to get the opportunity to talk to these young men and find out who they are, what motivates them, and move forward like that. And then, once they're on the field, you're just taking a look at the numbers, how they perform, how they compete. For me, the big thing is, at the end of the day, it's a unique environment, but you want to see how a guy competes, against the very best of U sport or against kids from the NCAA. And that's what we're looking at. And then we'll come back and watch the film, go over the interviews again, and start putting together our board.
So, Bob, it's unique because in the NFL, they don't have these practices and everything like that. You guys got the practices like this. So what's more important? Because listen, you're going to run a 40 once in your life, probably where you're timed. You're not going to, I did 22 on the bench press. Like, that's just going to be a one-time thing, okay? What's more important? Is it the numbers, or is it what the guy does on the field this weekend for you as the head coach?
For me, I would say this, and I'm just being honest. Yep. For me, it's a combination. For this weekend, you want to see that, obviously that they're training and they're prepared and they've taken this opportunity seriously. And you're going to see their commitment in that regard. And then what for me the big thing is, how are they able to transfer the knowledge they got in the classroom onto the field, right? Because, when you come into training camp, it's a very pressure-packed, and we're throwing a lot of stuff at you, and we want to see how you're able to handle that and move forward. I'm always going to be more so, I'm going to take a look at the numbers, but I want to see how these young men play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, Bob, it's going to be an exciting weekend here. Can't wait to see you, and looking forward to seeing Bob Dyce run the sidelines again in Ottawa. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me, Michael.